Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, a Democrat. Congresswoman, welcome to Politics Nation again. I have a lot to discuss with you, but first, give our viewers a sense of the damage and the recovery efforts in the state of Florida after the hurricane this past weekend. I understand that your district of northern Miami was mostly spared from major damage.
Yes, it was mostly spared. Thanks for having me on today, Reverend Al. And, my heart is with the people of Florida who were impacted by this hurricane. Over 250,000 people lost power, and they still are without any. Flooding raged across Florida at the Florida's Big Bend, that's up in the north, that we call the Big Bend. And if you will remember, I took you into Perry, Florida.
Yeah.
In 2000, when it was so segregated and they were making people come through the back of a lounge, and the grocery store was separated and the restaurants were segregated. Well, the storm hit Perry, Florida.
No, I saw it hit Perry, I remember when you brought me to a lounge where they were making blacks go through the back door for you and I to lead a protest to come in the front door right there in Perry, Florida. I remember that this week. And certainly our hearts go out to everybody. But let me go to another story in Florida because we only have you for a few minutes, and I want to be able to get as much in when we have you on. Following the racially motivated shooting in Jacksonville, Florida last week that claimed the lives of 3 innocent black Floridians, I called on President Biden when we met with him after the big march that you were part of last Saturday. I called on President Biden along with others, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King and Jonathan Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League to hold the next summit on hate crimes in Florida. I must ask you, do you see this as an issue, the shooting in Jacksonville, as an issue of racism, of gun control, or both?
I see it as an issue of both. And white supremacy is alive and well in Florida, and it goes unchecked from the rest of America. And I do believe that if we're going to have a summit, let's invite everyone, Reverend Al, because the disrespect of Black people has reached a tipping point in this country. And it's time for all of us to declare a state of emergency. Because when you preach racism, you preach hate and division from the highest level, it ignites the demons in the hearts and minds of racist bigots. And they act on those sentiments and kill Black people. So we have to do something. And, just this week it came out that 2022 hate crimes were up 10%.
That's right.
And anti-Semitism, everything is up. So, yes, let's have a summit.
Now, what else can be done legislatively, legally, to control this poison of white supremacy and this ongoing racial prejudice that is being fueled nationwide? This divisive rhetoric that ignites hatred and empowers those with violent intent. What else can we do, Congresswoman?
Well, one thing we need to do is make sure that all of our states are teaching African-American history. Now, I'm kind of pissed off, Reverend, because I am the person who wrote and helped write, I want to say, the curriculum for African-American history in the state of Florida. And I didn't stop there. I put it in the textbooks of the state of Florida. But there are only 12 states that mandate the teaching of African-American history. And I think when people learn about each other, they respect each other. And they're not teaching it the way they should in Florida, but we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to make Manny Diaz and DeSantis fix our African-American history the way it was written from the very beginning. We're going to make sure that it goes back, and we're going to make sure that we need to do something with this gun violence.
Yeah.
We need to do something with gun violence.
This past Monday, together with the King family and other civil rights leaders, I went to meet with President Biden and Vice President Harris at the White House On the actual day of the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, the march organizers were invited to meet as President Kennedy met with the march organizers in 63. Not all of the civil rights leaders, the march organizers in both. Now, I was there obviously as head of the National Action Network. 2 days earlier, we held the 60th anniversary march, and we were clear that this was a continuation, not a commemoration of the work that Dr. King started. During the meeting, President Biden also pushed back against efforts in some states to ban books and shape what is taught about the nation's history. And we start a new school year. As we started, what are you doing to fight back this push by Florida Governor DeSantis to really control what he is calling too woke in light of your work in putting a lot of things into the educational curriculum there in Florida?
Well, let me say this. We have to give Mr. DeSantis credit, because what he did was he woke up America. He woke up African-American people across this country to know and understand that African-American history has been put on the back burner. And it's not just in Florida. We happen to have a mandate, and that's why we have a curriculum. So what I'm going to do in Congress is make sure that every state has a curriculum, an African-American history, and that it's being taught. It has been replaced by coding, computers, all of the other things that the children are more interested in than African-American history. But when Mr. DeSantis came out about slavery and how it benefited African-American people, well, he woke up the nation. So he's talking about woke. We are really woke now, and we're going to fight and fight. And we're going to make sure that every single person across this nation knows that African-American people built this nation. We carry that on our shoulders. We built the White House. We built the Capitol. We built the Washington Monument. We built this nation. And I am just so disturbed. And I don't want to keep saying it, but I am pissed. And well, you know I'm ready.
I've seen you that way many times, and usually change follows when you get that way. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson of Florida.